How do I find such good deals on these machines? How do I find a four-wheeler for $200? Now, this was a comment from somebody, and man, there was no way I could answer this in a text comment. There's just too much. The biggest thing over the years that I've utilized is Marketplace and Craigslist, but Craigslist died out like a long time ago. I spend a lot of time on there searching for machines, but there's a catch. You cannot say, okay, I want a nice, clean Honda 4Trax 300 4x4 for $100 or for $200 or for $300 that just needs a top end, or it just needs a gas tank, or just needs a carb clean. A lot of it, since I'm flipping this stuff, we're parting it out, I can be a little more flexible. When I need to find a certain type of machine, it just never works out that way. But you get on there and you look and you'll find it. I paid $350 for these two. This is supposed to be a running engine. Both four-wheel drive units. One of them's an 88. Another thing to keep in mind is condition. So if you're flipping it or you're parting it out, or etc., you know, a lot of what I buy real cheap, the $100 units, the $200 units, they are done for. But every now and then, I do find some stuff that is repairable that cheap. The Suzuki Eiger I had on the channel a little while back, that was, I did pay $200 from that. That was from Marketplace. And I bought a Honda Rincon 650 with it for another $200. But the Rincon, it was rough. And when we parted it out and saw everything that was wrong with it, I'm really glad we parted it out, although it did run. This does require you to be on Marketplace like a hawk. The best way to put it is, you can't bullshit. You want a good deal on something, you need to go get it as soon as it comes up. Because if I see this pop up for $1,000, I'm going to get it. If I had a day job, I'm clocking out. If I've got something else going on, I'm done. There's very few things I'll make exceptions for, but you got to just stop and go get it. Because this right here for $1,000, now don't get me wrong, he paid $3 grand for this, but which is also a steal. But if this is for $1,000, this is going to go fast. It's a decently clean machine. Now, I have bought stuff like this in maybe a little tad rougher shape for that low of a price. The Sportsman 570 and 300EX, they both ran. One of them needed a battery. The 570 needed a starter and the front box. I paid $1,500 for the pair. And now another tip that I will say is, when you go to look at a machine, always be prepared to negotiate there. So we'll come back over here to this machine. So say you see this pop up for $2 grand and they say, ready to ride. So you go to get this, you get there. $2 grand is a good deal if it runs and drives regardless. For what this is. The SP, it's got power steering, it's got four-wheel drive. I mean, it does everything. But you get there and you got, you know, broken boots on your axles. You've got tie rods that need replaced. Maybe the power steering don't work, which is more of an issue. Although some of those are not that big a deal. Seat cover, stuff like that. You want to make sure you negotiate that in person. When it's something that's a really good deal, negotiate that in person, because if you try to negotiate them down, they're getting all kinds of offers on Marketplace that are just coming in like that. And you're like, hey, I'll give you $1,500 for it. Well, the guy who says, hey, I'm interested and I'll just come right now, is going to be the one who gets it, because he's going to show up and he's going to get there and look at it. Whether or not he gives them the $2 grand is irrelevant. One of the biggest things, though, that I would recommend, that I've personally been working on myself, is trying to track stuff down that's outside of Marketplace. I am, you know, although I said if something comes up, you got to go get it immediately, I would prefer to be able to find off-market deals. What I mean by that is stuff that has not made it onto Facebook Marketplace yet. You've got all sorts of machines out there sitting in somebody's yard that probably does just need a carb job, or probably does just need a different. And what I've been doing to do that is, I have business cards. Yes, I have some signs that are out by the road. I'll be honest with you, don't do the signs. That was a waste of money. I've gotten one machine from that, a Grizzly 600 that ran and drove. My cards, they have netted me a little bit over the years, but not as much as I would like them to. And maybe that is something I should push forward on. But one thing that has always done pretty good is Facebook group posting. So, say you want something, and maybe you said 200 on the comment. We'll just say you got a budget of $100 to $300. $100 really is gonna get you not much, but it's all in finding the deal. So you post on all these groups, say, I'm looking for a project quad. Does anyone have something they're looking to get rid of? Maybe you word it differently than I do. You've probably seen these as well. And you post it, and you need to have a very catchy photo with it. Do not just post text. You gotta have a catchy photo with it to catch someone's attention. There was one post, I ran it probably 9 months to a year, and it was just my buddy's truck where it was just like stuck to the frame. And since people kept commenting about the truck, the algorithm kept pushing the post up, and it also got me more machines. So you want to post something like that to all your local groups, baby, as far as you're willing to go. And people are going to send off like, hey, I've got this, so-and-so, I got this, so-and-so, but you got to know how to look and see the diamond in the rough. So if you're looking at something and the grass all grown up through it, all the plastics are taken off of it, someone took it apart and they didn't know how to put it back together. I mean, in all honesty, there was times back in 2011 when I got started in this, there was a bike I bought, a four-wheeler I bought, and I took the carb apart and I couldn't figure out how to put it back together. So I sold it like that. There was a guy who I sold a blaster to for like $450 because it needed a clutch. And he couldn't understand with all the machines I had how I didn't know how to do a clutch, but I just didn't have the confidence to pop that clutch cover off. I mean, now I look at it and well, that's super simple, no big deal. But you know, there are other people out there. I will say this, unless they are a trusted person to you, don't buy from people who are flipping. Because generally, if they're selling it for cheap, that's probably all it's worth. So for example, this right here, this might have potential. If somebody said, I'll give you $150, I'll take it. I don't want it. I don't want it at all. This right here, I legit have honestly not even touched it. We rolled it in here, dude brought it here, we rolled it in here, and I just left it. If somebody came in here and offered me $150, I would take it. That one I'd rather part out though. There's too much money right there. But that is to say, I've noticed that generally within some of the flipping community, there's a lot of people that aren't honest. I will be honest with somebody. This got no spark. It's a junk Polaris. I don't want it. That's gonna need more work than I want. I'll be honest with that. Like, I don't want it. Same thing with this one. This ain't gonna need carb work. I know that for sure. The wiring harness is all hacked up. Somebody's like had all kinds of stuff apart on this thing. Like, no telling what this thing actually needs. But I've sold machines to people that, maybe it had a problem. Well, we'll say, for example, last year I sold a 2015 Ranger, maybe it was a 570 or 500, I don't remember. But the frame was bent. So you could see from the backside, the whole thing was twisted. And it's not like the shocks are off or none of that. No, because the belt box where it sat flat right there, you could see it twisted. So the whole back end of it was twisted. Sold it to this guy, saw it the next day up for sale. And what he did was crank up one of the rear shocks, listed for $5,000. A lot of times when I have actually been burned buying a machine, it was from somebody who buys them to resell them. Not all of them. I will say that there is a lot of good people out there that I've dealt with. They're just straight business, good business, and I will buy from them more. But then there's other people who, like that Foreman 500 I bought. He said it ran. There's no chance in hell that bike ever ran, or ran recently. He legit lied. I took his word for it. It is what it is. Don't take anyone's word for it, because unless they're downplaying it real hard like I would, I'm over here like this is a piece of junk. You don't want it. Now the last part, this comes down to, like, if you're just looking for a deal on a machine one thing. If you're looking to flip or part out, business relationships, it's a must. Some of these, that's how I ended up with that. The guy's got other stuff from me before. He's a friend of mine now. And same thing with that. Quite honestly, everything in the shop right now came from a relationship. At this time of year, when it comes to tax time, I don't spend a whole bunch of time on Marketplace because everything's flowing so fast. It is hard to get a good deal, and I deem that. I used to think it was because everybody was snatching all the good deals up. I no longer believe that after this year hit. I believe it solely is because people don't need money right now, so they don't have a reason to list the machine just to get rid of it. Because when you're looking for a good deal, you're looking for a motivated seller. You don't want someone who's just got something on there. If it sells, it sells. If it don't, it don't. Because they're not real negotiable. They're not pricing it to sell, ready to go. Let it get it out of here. So always do good business and build good relationships. So my sign that netted me one machine, you know, that Grizzly 800 for a Grizzly 600 for $800. That's not a fantastic deal, but I mean, it's all right. It runs and drives. Would I have to put a battery on it? And I swapped out the seat because I had a nicer one here in the shop. But what did come of that is he told his buddy, hey, you want to sell that machine? Bam. So I got this Ranger for 500 bucks. This thing doesn't even have 200 hours on it. It's just been sitting outside for a long time and looks terrible. This one right here, dude bought parts from me years ago. And now we're friends. He said, hey, I stopped by this garage sale. Dude has a Razor 800 sitting there. I'm like, oh yeah. So I go and look at it. Bam. Bought it. Now don't get me wrong, I did have to drive like 3 hours to get that thing. This one and those two, I managed to get from the same dude. I've been buying from him for years. He's a friend of mine, and you know, I get lots of these machines from him. Sometimes they're not exactly what I want. Sometimes they're a little more clapped than I wanted. You know, I don't want to build those now. But the other machines I've gotten from him, they go fast. So everything that's sitting in here is stuff that I don't feel like dealing with. This here did come from Marketplace. I bought 2 of them. One was supposed to run, and the other was pretty sure it ran. This got timing issues. We'll put it this way. When you turn the motor over, the intake pushes air out. It should not do that. When you put your hand over it, it'll push the hand off. And the other one smoked like freight train. That one already got parted out. But it's my relationships that have allowed me to get to this point. I want to help you guys win. You know, there's more than enough machines out there to be able to snag these things up and make a good deal of most. So if you've got questions, put it down in the comment box down below. And there was a guy who messaged me from Canada this past weekend. I don't know the Canadian market, guys, but I mean, I honestly don't know how to tell you if it's a good deal or not, but look at your comps. Look at other machines for sale, see if it is a good deal. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, and let's make some money.